Hello everyone. Welcome to ChrisVerse channel. Learn slow and easy English for beginners. Practice speaking, listening, and daily conversation with us. Subscribe now and improve your English step by step.
Chris and Alice's foundational strategy is beautifully, wonderfully simple. Speak simple sentences every single day. Even tiny, small conversations help. The secret sauce here is just lowering the barrier to entry. You don't need to sit down and debate heavy philosophy in a brand new language, right? You just need to build that daily habit of vocalizing the words. It's all about momentum. Having a microscopic 5-second conversation where you successfully greet someone, that sends a massive signal to your brain that you can, in fact, do this. Slowly but surely, those little daily interactions stack up, and suddenly that huge mountain of anxiety starts looking a lot more like a manageable hill. Let's move to and see how this builds in Section 2, absorbing the language with effective input methods. Now, before you can speak naturally, you have to actually absorb the rhythms, the sounds, and the structures of the language. We call this input. And it's really interesting because Chris and Alice tackle this input a bit differently, though both are super effective. On one hand, we've got Alice. Her method is highly visual and really routine-based. She likes to drink her morning coffee and read an English learning book. And that is fantastic for building up vocabulary and mapping out grammar structures. But contrast that with Chris. He focuses heavily on listening to slow English conversations. Why? Well, as Chris points out, listening specifically targets pronunciation. He zeroes in on American pronunciation, actively training his ear to catch all those subtle intonations and the natural way words link together, stuff you just cannot get from staring at a printed page. But there is one specific tool that both of our hosts strongly agree on, and that is podcasts. Podcasts are an absolute game changer for beginners because they boost your listening skills while teaching you natural conversation. Unlike some stiff, rigid textbook dialogue, a podcast exposes you to how real people actually speak. You know, the awkward pauses, the filler words, the natural back and forth flow. Alice even mentions she watches English podcasts on YouTube, which is brilliant because it adds a visual element to that audio input, making it a remarkably smart way to soak it all in. Which brings us to Section 3, the power of repetition, moving from input to output. This is where we make that crucial shift from just taking the language in to actively putting it out there. I absolutely love this quote from Alice. She says, "I also repeat the sentences loudly." Now, I'm going to break the fourth wall here for a second and ask you directly, when you're studying, how often do you actually speak your practice sentences out loud? Think about it. It is so incredibly easy to read a sentence in your head and go, yep, totally know how to say that. But the actual physical mechanics of speaking, moving your tongue, shaping your lips, engaging your vocal cords, that requires real physical practice. Repeating loudly, exactly like Alice suggests, is an amazing technique to build up that muscle memory. And hey, even if your family or your roommates are in the other room wondering who on earth you're talking to, it is 100% worth it. And that brings us right to Chris's definitive takeaway on the whole subject. Listening and speaking together works best. This right here is the ultimate winning combination for beginners. You listen to the natural pronunciation, and then you immediately try to mirror it out loud. You are literally building a bridge between just understanding a language and actually using it in the real world. Let's look at Section 4, your daily practice routine, the ultimate loop. And this brilliantly illustrates how we can bring it all together into a practical routine. You really don't need complex dictionary-level vocabulary to start. Chris actually recommends mastering these specific, super easy phrases. How are you? What is your name? And nice to meet you. These are the literal building blocks of human connection. By practicing these exact phrases every single day, they just become automatic. You're not going to have to furiously translate them in your head anymore. They'll just flow naturally the second you meet someone new. So here is your ultimate 3-step daily practice loop pulled entirely from our host's methodology. Step 1, listen to podcasts. Get that high-quality, natural input to really train your ear. Step 2, speak simple sentences. Lean on those essential beginner phrases we just talked about to kickstart some small conversations. And step 3, repeat loudly. Take the phrases you're hearing and physically practice speaking them out loud to lock in that muscle memory. If you just loop through these 3 steps every day, your confidence is absolutely going to skyrocket. So the crucial point is this great realization from Alice. Small practice every day helps a lot. Consistency is always going to beat intensity. I mean, it is vastly more effective to spend just 10 minutes every single day listening and speaking out loud than it is to lock yourself away and study in total silence for 3 hours on a Sunday. Building that tiny daily habit is exactly what rewires your brain to finally accept and use the new language. Which brings us to our final slide and a bit of a challenge for you. Alice ends their conversation with a truly powerful piece of advice. Don't be afraid of mistakes. Mistakes aren't failures. They're just data. They're tangible proof that you are actively putting yourself out there and trying. So I'm going to leave you with this empowering question. What English mistake will you bravely make today? Get out there, practice loudly, completely embrace the awkward errors, and just watch your conversational confidence grow. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, happy practicing!